Welcome to Amiens house. I'm Krista, and today we're doing a garden tour. Come along and join me on our June 15th, 2021 garden tour. For those of you that are new to this garden, it is a no-till square foot garden. This is our second year of doing this type of gardening. So what we had done was we had tilled it up 3 years ago for my uncle to use for extra gardening. And then last year, in about February, we put a silage tarp down to get rid of all the weeds. Then we took that off, added cardboard, and then put compost to make our beds. I love the look of potager type gardening with different types of bedding. So I have 4x6 beds. They're not above ground or raised gardens. They're just kind of heaped so that they have shape instead of just rows, which is what I grew up with. And I kind of like just the look of the shaped beds, but I do not want to do raised garden beds. And then we put mulch down between the beds and then planted. This year was the same. We added silage tarp, and then we topped it up with compost, and we've topped it up with some mulch for the pathways. So let me take you for a tour. To start our garden, we have our strawberry patch. It's a very small strawberry patch this year, but we have hopes for more strawberry patch, so that's what that black tarp is for. Then back in here we have our asparagus, our mulberry tree, which is just starting to ripen. We've had a few berries off of there, and we have our rhubarb. Then walking up here, we have our cold frame, which is about to be done. All of our lettuce is starting to bolt. We have a little bit of more arugula coming and some iceberg lettuce. I planted these onions in the late fall, and they're dying down, and so we will have big white onions from the garden very shortly. A couple heads of garlic, and then we move in to our potato patch. This is not square foot gardening. This is just general planting the potatoes and heaping them. I did square foot garden the potatoes last year, but this year I decided we would use this space for just regular potatoes. We have whites here in the front, and we have red in the back. Then we have 4 beds of brassicas. I have kale up front, okra on the back, broccoli, and broccoli is here, and Brussels sprouts. And in between there, you can just see we have cabbages growing. I have both red and yellow cabbages in these beds. So I'm excited to see how that turns out. Up front here, I have Swiss chard, fennel, and bok choy. They are just about coming up. So you can see this bed has not been mulched with the grass, and that is because not everything has come up, and I'm just waiting to see. In the back, we'll have a bed of sunflowers. These are all onions. Then I have my parsnips and my carrots and some flowers in the middle. In the back, we have radishes and celery. 2 different types of radishes. These ones are pretty much ready. They're ready to be picked, as you can see. Then we have the celery. And then over here, I'm letting the radishes go to flower because I'm wanting the seed pods from these radishes to pickle. Then I have our tomatoes and onions. This bed is almost finished. I need to add some marigolds along the front. My marigolds didn't come up, and I can't find any marigolds to plant, so I've tried starting some more in the house. We'll see if I get marigolds this year. These are mostly beefsteak tomatoes, eating tomatoes, and some tiny Tims on the corners. And you'll see I have some nasturtiums there in the corner for companion planting. Then another bed of onions and peppers. These are all bell peppers, except for the corners have hot peppers. More tomatoes, because we do tons of canning. More peppers, again, because of the canning. Then we have 2 beds. I have sugar snap peas in the front and shelling peas in the back, and I still need to build that structure. And I have more Swiss chard here in the front, which is looking like it's ready to be harvested. I did plant spinach in the back of that bed, but it didn't come up, and so I have to figure out what else I'm going to put back there. Here we have beans just coming up, and I need to mulch these 2 beds now that the beans are up. Then we have green zucchini and yellow zucchini. Roma tomatoes with nasturtiums in the middle and basil at the end in these 2 beds. Then we have a bed of eggplant, which I'm not sure if you can see. All of the eggplant is being devoured by something. It is not happy. I'm pretty much losing all the eggplant. Not sure how much I'm going to have this year. We'll have to wait and see. And then we have a bed of zinnias in the back. And then we have beets and turnip in these 2 beds. And again, we're just waiting for them to come up, and then we will mulch them. Then, luckily, sweet potatoes lived and came back after that crazy cold rains. So I have 2 beds of sweet potatoes, and the last bed is onion with cucumbers. And the cucumbers in the front, I only have 2 left. I have 1 tiny one there and 1 tiny one here, but I started some more in the house, and they're just about ready to be transplanted out here. But the back has lots of cucumbers, so that should be good. And that, my friends, is our vegetable garden for 2021. I hope you enjoyed our garden tour. I'm hoping to do a garden tour at least once a month over this summer. Our last frost date is around May 2-4 weekend here in southwestern Ontario. We are zone 6AB depending on where we are. And this year though, our last frost date was May 29th. So we were covering plants that were already in the garden, but everything looks like it has survived. So our garden has been in the ground for about 2 weeks, about 15-16 days, or just over that. And I'm hoping that in 30 days I can give you an update and I will show you what's going on in the garden. So until then, happy gardening, and I hope you take some time to simply breathe.